Okay, I am way behind on my games once again. I got some review codes in mid-October that took a while to get around to. Since we're at the end of October now, I thought it was a good time for another roundup review video. So, let's begin with the Jackbox Party Pack 8. Now, this game once again collects together 5 minigames to play with friends online or together via the power of web browsers and smart devices. Drawful Animate is a spin of the classic Returning Champion. The twist is you can animate your drawings by tracing over them into frames now. Weapons Drawn is a murder party mystery where everyone tries to get away with, well, murder. It's a bit too complex for my taste, and getting the drawings right in Drawful Animate is a bit tricky as well. Pole Mine is a twist on several of their statistics-based minigames from the past that is mashed up with a choose-your-own-adventure game. You choose what you think are the top answers for a given question, and then those results are mixed together into a door-based trivia game of sorts. I love the overall look of Pole Mine, even though playing it wasn't my favorite experience of the pack. Job Job is like a Mad Lib style of comedy game where you answer questions and then the words you use are then passed on to the other players, who have to create answers based on those words, and if you use those words in your answer, the players that use those words originally get points. Are you following me? It may sound confusing, but it's actually one of the better games in the collection. But my top pick is The Wheel of Enormous Proportions, which is a trivia game that grants players pieces of pie that can help them get points with spins on the titular wheel. It's very simple, but also a lot of fun. I think Jackbox always excels at their quiz games, dating back to 1995 with the first You Don't Know Jack. Overall, the collection is weaker than past entries as a whole, but still very fun for parties, even though that fun may not be as everlasting. Speaking of titles with ever in the name, Evertried is a roguelike wherein you die and are sent to the underworld, but not all hope is lost. Your soul can find salvation in the abyss if you can prove how strong of a warrior you are through a series of challenges. The game is structured, again, as a roguelike, but I thought it had more in common with a puzzle game mixed with a strategy RPG. Players are placed on a grid along with enemies and traps. Every time a player moves, something else on the map happens, whether it's another enemy moving or it's a trap acting. It's very tactical in nature, and you have to master the controls almost immediately because it starts at 11 and only increases in difficulty from there. I dug the art style and actual graphics of Evertried. I also like the concept of a strategy puzzle take on the roguelike genre, but unfortunately, I don't think the idea was very well executed. Moving on, we have Into the Pit. It's another roguelike, but this one is a first-person shooter. It reminded me of BioShock if it came out in the 90s due to the retro-themed graphics. Now, the concept involves you traveling to a mysterious village in order to help it out. You come from a long line of occult hunters in your family, which is a cool idea for a story, but the text-based dialogue isn't that exciting, nor are the characters. Playing Into the Pit is a lot of fun though. It's kind of hard to make progression in the game. It's one of those super grindy roguelikes that demands perfection without many good early on incentivized rewards. I wished for more from Into the Pit as a roguelike, but if you think of it more as an arcade experience to jump into from time to time, well, Into the Pit rules. Except for the loads. Those very much sucked. Speaking of sucking, The Good Life is determined by many to be a bad game if you look at the aggregates out there. And it is technically a bad game. It runs poorly no matter what system you play it on, with the frame rate dipping below reasonable levels, almost like it was a stop-motion film. The mechanics are way behind the times, with fast travel feeling especially archaic. I'm also not a fan of games that run on timed schedules. All that being said, I absolutely adore The Good Life. I'm a die-hard Sori fan after Deadly Premonition. There's just something about the way he creates his worlds that are so enticing. Actually, playing the game may feel tedious, but I quite enjoyed this open-world sim. Besides the whole turning into animals thing, there's also a big surprise about the plot that Deadly Premonition fans will especially enjoy. And The Good Life, overall, is my top pick of the list, and let's leave things at that. Did you like that video? If you did, please like, subscribe, and spread the good word of ReActionExaminer. If you want to read more of my stuff, you can find a plethora of my articles over at The Gamer and Game Rant. All of those links and more are in the show notes below. Thanks for watching!